Legendary drops. Let's do a legendary drops episode. Should we do that? Should we react one more time to a legendary drops episode? Oh yeah, let's do that one. Yeah.
Presents the controversy.
All right, I'm gonna watch some legendary drops. You know him. You love him. He dropped. We hit the jackpot after we beat the boss.
Are far worse than I ever could have imagined. After my last video chronicling the rise and fall of Ubisoft, I had both current and former Ubisoft developers reach out for comment. Today,
here's the thing. Before he even gets onto this, like he's gonna say like he talked, and people are probably wondering why are Ubisoft people talking to you? There are people that talk to Asmund, and apparently a lot of game companies have talked to Asmund. And you may think, but Asmund's really big and stuff, you know. No, they hear someone saying that things they feel, they're gonna reach out. They've probably talked to, I know they talked to Bellior News. Because Bellior News is like an up-and-coming gaming company now. And it's a YouTuber. And it's the news people. Like, yeah. Oh, Ubisoft and EA sucks. Guess what EA is doing? They're trying to make it where you have to play AI games. I'm surprised there's any developers still working for EA. After they heard that. They should be looking for another job. But there are a lot of companies that don't agree with a lot of the stuff that their companies are doing.
We're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the issues that the studios face today from the perspective of their own employees. Everything from Me Too movement allegations to agenda-driven content. I want to contrast the comments made in these interviews with what we've seen from Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. This company has a deep-rooted leadership issue, going as far to think that the vast majority of online criticism is just a toxic minority of gamers. This company and its leadership think that they are on the righteous path. Little do they know, it's a dead end. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been steeped in controversy and criticism since its initial reveal. Online discourse surrounding the game has been almost entirely negative, with long-term fans of the franchise.
Please note that they also tried to claim that, oh, it's just Americans that are mad about this game and stuff. But yet they apologized to Japanese. Why would you apologize to Japanese if it's only English that are bad?
General audience and Japanese audiences up in arms over the creative liberties that Ubisoft has taken with the depiction of Yasuke, the fabled Black Samurai, and feudal Japan.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a Naruto game where they tried to use the AI voices instead of the actual people. See, this is what I'm saying. These companies don't understand. One, people are going to notice. Because certain inflections and stuff won't be used correctly. Two, people will notice when the person that they like that's voicing that character says, no, I wasn't paid. And you can't lie about paying someone.
Japanese creators, as well as just random bystanders, have taken to Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube and Reddit, voicing their concerns offended by the game's representation of their history and culture. Inaccuracies like using Chinese architecture instead of Japanese, the legitimacy and relevance of the game's protagonist Yasuke, and even going as far as stealing a flag and imagery from the Sekihara Teppo Tai, a historical reenactment group where the company had to formally apologize for not asking for permission to use their materials. Ubisoft's adventure into Japanese history has been a complete disaster.
Here's the thing that I think will probably piss a lot of you off. Some people went more into the architecture. Because they're like, well, they stole stuff and all this. Maybe they did the other stuff. A lot of the architecture was found to be either Chinese, Korean, or Indonesian. So they didn't even use Japanese architecture. Like, they used some of it, but they didn't use, like, it everywhere.
And it's only going to get worse. On September 11th of 2024, an article was penned by the New York Times titled "The Fight Over a Black Samurai in Assassin's Creed." The writer, Zachary Small, misrepresents the controversy and player concerns as merely those of a toxic minority of angry Western gamers, and the entire
angry Western gamers.
Time he fixates on the race of Yasuke and not the broader implications at play in Ubisoft's mishandling and the frank disrespect for Japanese culture and history. This article was a collaboration between Ubisoft and the New York Times in an attempt to redirect the discussions surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows and minimize the feedback. The writer spoke with Kazuma Hashimoto, a consultant and translator for the games industry, later to be found out to be an employee of Sweet Baby Incorporated that did consultant work for Ubisoft.
You know what's crazy? I think he says it in this thing. He actually mentions it, I think. Turns out, originally, the main character was a Japanese male. Wonder where this guy came in.
But Hashimoto claimed that it was people in the West who were upset with seeing Yasuke as a samurai, and that many of the online negative comments were written in Japanese appeared to be roughly translated from English, effectively hand-waving the increasingly loud and valid concerns of the Japanese, asserting that it's all made-up outrage. Nothing more than the gamers' war against DEI or inclusivity in video games. I find it all too poetic and predictable for a AAA publisher to brush off player concerns and use their connections in the media to try to steer public discourse and sentiment into a favorable direction. All of these claims made by the New York Times, as well as other writers, are patently false. You can see the criticisms of Ubisoft's recent releases and the future release in Assassin's Creed Shadows everywhere. It's impossible to ignore. Videos and promotional material ratioed by dislikes and comments in mass numbers. Videos like mine and many others reaching widespread appeal because we have that many people that agree or share similar opinions. With that said, I couldn't imagine that it was possible for anyone to ignore this level of feedback, and Ubisoft has to be seeing it. So I spoke with a few developers from Ubisoft to shed some light on these issues. I started off by asking how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the industry, whether that's its repetitive design, agenda-driven content, or predictable games. They responded saying, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in a video of his, Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents any growth.
Here's the thing. For those of you that are probably like, wait, what's toxic positivity? Basically, it's a way of being toxic and like not cool while like sounding like you're being positive. Like, oh, that's really bad. You shouldn't do that. Makes you look stupid and stuff like that.
I then asked, what about
it
the
sounds
Japanese
professional,
community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by a culture that's as proud as the Japanese. They responded by saying that the criticisms haven't been talked about, and they've only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic publicly. Meaning everything that we've said up until this point, all the criticism that we've had over the years for Ubisoft games, even that of the industry itself, has fallen on deaf ears. I don't know if it's sad or if it's somewhat, it's somewhat cathartic to have that validated. I mean, it's the main complaint that the vast majority of gamers have had over the years, which is that these companies aren't listening to us. And in this case,
and it's actually true.
I have developers that are telling me, yeah, they're not listening to you. One, because they don't want to take criticism, and two, because they don't know how to differentiate bad from good criticism. I think this is my patented catchphrase by now.
That's what I noticed. I think this is a problem in a lot of corporations nowadays, because I noticed it when I was younger, growing up, and like working in some of these industries. Like, I worked a little in a tech company for a little bit, and but then I went straight into like customer service, and like, because I did not like the tech company at all. It was just purely this, and then I tried cooking. I got inspired to cook for a while. I think that's a different story. The thing I noticed though was a lot of the higher ups and stuff would say to use like positive criticism and stuff, but when they ever like criticize me or someone I knew, and I'd ask what they say, it was never like actual positive criticism. It was always like, oh, this sucks and stuff like that. They would try to be nice about being an asshole, but they'd fail like terribly because it was like clear that they were being an asshole. And when you tried to give them positive criticism, they'd be like, I'm your boss, you can't criticize me, and stuff like that.
But when you have this much negative discourse surrounding your games,
and when I was a manager, it is just more the same. And like, they don't care what you're doing, like the higher ups, because I'd be a manager, and then the people that weren't even at my store would give me bad reviews and stuff. I'm like, you're not even here. How can you even say I'm doing bad? You don't know what's going on here. Come by here sometime and you'll see I'm doing great.
You need to be listening, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad feedback in your eyes, regardless if you align with these people's political beliefs or social political beliefs or whatever it might be. None of that matters. When you have your games on fire as much as Ubisoft games have been lately, you need to put those fires out somehow. And the only way that you can do that is by listening to them and implementing whatever feedback you possibly can into your games to make them better. Regardless, the other thing is, I'm sorry. I am sick of, I am disgusted by the blatant, feigned virtue over how much they care about Japanese culture and history. I'm sorry. You are bastardizing Japanese culture and history for...
Which is why they do not like it. Which is why I won't be surprised. What? People are probably like... The people that are trying to defend it are like, they moved it back 3 months to fix it and stuff. They're getting rid of stuff that will make them look more racist. You know that for sure. They will not be fixing anything.
Profit. That's what you're trying to do here. You're not trying to make a history piece. We know that. It's loosely based on. Very loosely based.
And what's crazy is a lot of people like try to defend on like it's supposed to be fiction and all this stuff and stuff. And it's loosely based. Look at Assassin's Creed 2 and look how closely it followed historic events and stuff. To the fact that they even used pictures. Real life pictures to try to say, oh, that bulge in his coat is the atoms. The orb of Adam. Orb of Eden. Like, it's crazy.
Based on Japanese culture and history. Look at you guys. You put out a Torii Gate figurine, a half Torii Gate figurine with your characters on it without...
When I saw this, I was like, there's no way. There's no way they would be that insensitive. And what's hilarious is they basically made the black character like very stereotypical.
Knowing the cultural relevance of the half Torii Gate after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, do you have any idea what that means to these people? What's wrong with you? At the end of the day, it all comes down to leadership. When you look at Ubisoft's messaging, the lackluster delivery of titles like X-Defiant and Star Wars Outlaws, the inaccuracies and screw-ups with Assassin's Creed Shadows, you see a developer that has no clear plan or vision for what players want, what good games look like, or how to even do their job. I took the time to talk to the Ubisoft developers about workplace culture, about the initiative that they've taken for diversity hiring, and what happens behind the scenes at Ubisoft, and it's wild to see how accurate some of the assumptions that have been made by myself and others. Now, continuing my conversation with one of the...
Speaking of diversity hires, all jobs are doing this now, and you know what's insulting? To be lumped in with white people. Like, no offense, but I'm a ginger. I'm Irish. I'm not exactly, like, Caucasian. I'm Irish. Like, regular white person's skin just, like, sunburns. My skin dies. I get the sun. I become pain incarnate. I don't sunburn. I become pain incarnate. Okay? We have differences, therefore we are not the same.
Developers, I wanted to find more about the workplace structure and management.
So it's insulting that you try to say that a ginger is a white person. Yes, we are white. Are we, like, American? No. Okay?
And seeing as though the company has had initiatives that have been put in place...
Like, yeah, like... That in itself is kind of racist. It's like a whole level of racism, because you're like, oh, you're not Irish, you're Caucasian. Huh? Like, I understand that Irish people are white, but... Huh?
To make the workplace a little bit more diverse, I asked, What benefits have you seen? Is there more diversity in thought, or is it creating a more one-sided environment? They said that so far
Can you
the
clip
initiative
that?
hasn't had
Ask
any
Lock
impact
on. I don't
the
know what I
team
said
I'm a
that you're
part
trying to
of.
clip.
However, it's clear that some topics are taboo. What happened is now that people end up in a meeting with
I'm Caucasian and Irish? Well, I don't feel like it. They don't treat me like I'm Irish. They treat me like I'm just a white person.
HR for trivial stuff, not adding smiley faces to a message or adding an
Lock-on's
exclamation
giving you
point
permission,
at the
I
end
think.
of a message because some people are reporting it for harassment. One of the things that wasn't in your video is that Ubisoft had some controversy during the Me Too period, letting go of a manager in high positions, and some left on their own because they knew they'd be discovered. I then asked, what was the impact of this in the workplace? They responded by saying the editorial direction and overall mindset shifted from the boys club to safe content. Reaching for plain characters like Kay in Star Wars is a perfect example of this. The idea to have beautiful characters such as Baldur's Gate or Uncharted is met with distrust. The developer shared sentiments saying that safe content also leads to limited opportunities on the gameplay side. Even for Star Wars, we had to work with Disney, which would have shut down most attempts at depicting a true criminal underworld with cruelty and drama.
The other thing is, yeah, people probably want to just blame Ubisoft for all these bad games. That Star Wars game was doomed the second it was started being created. It's Disney. This is why I didn't like it when Disney acquired it. Because I was like, well, there goes any chance of any, like, violent games. Like, they're going to be as saturated as possible.
When you put this
Caucasian is literally white-skinned of European origin. Guess what? Guess what? Irish isn't European. So guess what? Guess what, Gold? Different things!
Developer's perspective in line with the recent failures and controversies at Ubisoft or any AAA developer at this point, it all makes sense. An overcorrection in sensitivity brought on by the boys club days that many studios experienced during their early years. As such, many games today lack the teeth and grit that players crave because those things are seen as problematic or unsafe to make in the workplace. Don't use emojis or exclamation points. You could offend someone. Holy shit. How soft have we got?
You're willing to die on this hill? No, they are not. What do you mean? I'm not European. The heck?
It reminds me of the time where the Helldivers 2 community manager went on a ban spree on their Discord because players were using a throw-up emoji on furry art that was posted in their Discord. Sometimes people need to be offended. While I'm going to try to resist the pull yourself up by your bootstraps tirade,
I don't think you should. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just because Britain owned Ireland does not mean that I'm European.
friction on some levels is necessary in life. Now, that doesn't mean that people should be allowed to openly harass others, but there are major issues that arise when you have emojis that can get you fired. This overreaction and overcorrection leads to a workplace that is actively hostile towards freedom of thought, expression, and criticism. As one of the interviewees mentioned earlier, they noticed a culture of toxic positivity. From my perspective, toxic positivity is fake people saying fake things, and in the case of Ubisoft, making fake products. Nobody wants to live their entire life being...
Are you okay? Still don't feel European.
Terrified that someone is going to misunderstand them. And when you're at a studio like Ubisoft and you're not to make characters attractive, otherwise it might upset people at the studio, you have a problem. This culture of fear and forced uniformity stifles creativity and innovation. It's no wonder that Ubisoft is struggling to produce anything of real substance when their own developers are walking on eggshells, more worried about HR complaints than creating groundbreaking games. How can you make bold, impactful content when every idea is scrutinized for being too risky, too offensive, or too unsafe? It's a workplace where mediocrity is rewarded and we're pushing boundaries, the very things that games are supposed to do.
You think the land of the free has gotten to me? Okay, shut up, guys.
Is seen as a liability. This workplace culture, this overreaction and
This is the thing I hate about a lot of these game companies is they're like, oh no, we got in trouble. Some of our employees couldn't keep their hands to themselves. Guess we gotta make our games look saturated so we don't. What? Game had nothing to do with the the people made the games, but them getting in trouble has nothing to do with your game. Keep making good games and people will keep buying them.
Correction has infected just about every single industry that's out there. I worked in construction for 7 years up until last December, and the company that I worked for was more afraid of HR issues than they were of injuries. We worked with hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen cyanide, gases that, if released, could kill half of a city.
Which is bombastic to hear, but it proves my point that all companies are doing this right now. Not just game companies. Game companies are just like one of the worst offenders right now. Well, I say worst offenders. More like the most in the public eye offenders.
You know, we've discussed
Come next year,
modern audiences,
no one is going to buy
mythical,
Assassin's Creed
magical modern
Shadows.
audiences,
Everyone is going to
and
get
soft
Ghost of
modern games.
Yoti.
We found the
PlayStation
audience.
put
It's the people that are
Ubisoft to
running these
absolute
companies
shame on the
nowadays.
last
You have
reveal.
folks that are walking around on
Here's the thing. I have hope for Ghost of Yoti. But I am concerned that it's a... Like, I think it's sucky that I'm concerned that it's a female character. I shouldn't be concerned. I will say this. Because it's a company that's known for doing good things, I have no reservations right now. I'm concerned, but I'm not like... It's like a 2% concern, 98%. I'm looking forward to it. Hi, Vanita. I'm gonna take a session. But here's the thing. I'm thinking this is... Well, that's like a different video, but I'm just tired of companies like this.
shells, afraid to say anything. Anecdotal, but just like a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, I remember I was live streaming, and instinctively I said something was retarded. I'm a millennial. We all grew up saying it.
I have to say yes. Millennials, aka me. We use the phrase retarded a lot. Do we mean a person? No. We do not. And if you try to call me out on it, if I ever do say it, because I don't use it that much. Like, I think I used it the least amount of my friends. But I would get mad enough sometimes that I would scream that. I'm painting you.
It's a product of my upbringing. Say what you will. I didn't say it consciously. It just came out.
Yeah, it's kind of like an unconscious thing. That's why I said I don't say it very often.
My chatters pops up and says, how often do you say that word?
Bombastic question. Such a loaded question. I would so ban this person.
I ban the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here with that. Are
Hello?
you kidding me? People that are out there that are waiting, prepared to be offended.
Here's the thing. Words themselves are not offensive. It is how you perceive or how you use that word. Okay? I have friends that have Down syndrome. Do you think they're offended if I've ever shouted retarded in their presence? No. Because they know I don't mean them. I'm probably mad at a game or something. Usually that is the context. And they know I don't mean them. And they know I would never use that word against them. Oh, I'm shouting at a video game and I say retarded. No, I don't mean other people. I said something in frustration. Like, you act like people don't say things that they don't normally say when they're frustrated. It's like shouting curse words when you get hurt. Do you shout curse words normally? No. Oh, or you do. I don't know you. But sometimes we say something like reflectively. Can that reveal a lot about you? Yeah. Depends on the word, really. But Yeah.
I'm sick of it. You cannot have workplaces that are out there where every single thing that you say, you have to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. Otherwise, it could be your livelihood. And I'm not saying that you can walk around saying anything. That's not what this is. Everybody knows. I think that's the most frustrating part when you have these kind of conversations, is that you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But the intellectual dishonesty around this kind of thing is just, it's fucking mind-boggling. We have workplace environments that actively work against any type of creative or constructive criticism. That's how you get games like this. This is how games and products are being ruined over time, is because nobody's allowed to criticize things properly. You have people in the workplace that are like, I don't think that these characters are going to be received well by the fans, but they're not allowed to say anything about it. They can't say it's not hot enough. It's not masculine enough. They can't say that because it's problematic to say so. Tame and safe are the antonyms of exciting and daring. Baldur's Gate 3 was exciting and daring. Star Wars Outlaws, tame and safe. Whether it's their poor job at representing Japan or the trailers of Assassin's Creed, there are clearly levels of incompetency at work. As many players have pointed out in the game trailers, the promotional materials that are meant to sell the game, you can see frame rate issues, texture issues, poor collision detection, weapons clipping through characters, and more. Controversies aside, this game doesn't look like it's ready for launch, and in fact, its developer just recently came out and canceled their appearance at Tokyo Game Show and announced that the game would be delayed until February.
I want you all to know they're not canceling that game until February to fix the game. They might brush it up a little bit, but the main thing they're doing is getting rid of the racist and other problems we didn't see yet. They might even try to remove some of the problems we've already seen to try to gaslight people into being like, hey, look, it wasn't that bad.
Along with the delay, Ubisoft CEO recently issued a memo to their employees that ended up getting leaked publicly, and it showcases just how out of touch this company is with their players. Rather than acknowledging their real missteps, they're clinging to critic scores, pointing out Star Wars Outlaws had a solid 76 on Metacritic. Oh.
Why are you even listening to the critic scores? I think he's just using that to, try to gaslight his employees. I'm gonna be honest. Because half these companies know that the critic score mean nothing now. Because they're the reason it means nothing. Because they won't give a company a copy of their game if they've been reviewed badly before by them. It's access journalism.
You're Caucasian and Irish at the same time.
Okay, can we get past this, chat? Okay. I'm sorry I'm American. I've lived in America most of my life. I apologize for my Americanness. Howdy there! But good gosh, this has 76 on Metacritic.
I didn't know that you were trying to sell.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Metacritic's the nicest company. While also being the most shit, which is crazy. Because they're also the ones that'll get the lowest scores. But think of it this way. A 5 is a 1. Anything in the 5 generation is a 1. Anything in the 60 area is a 2. Anything in the 70, a 3. Anything in the 80, a 4. And anything in the 90 and above is 100. This is what I think. Wait, no. No, it's 6 and above. 6 is a 1, 7 is a 2, 8 is a 3, 9 is a 4, 10 is a 5.
Game-to-game reviewers. That makes a lot of sense, seeing as though that you're completely ignoring player feedback that clearly shows that your game is hovering in mediocrity. Even worse, they believe that Black Friday sales are somehow going to magically turn things around. not realizing that no amount of discounting will make up for a product that fundamentally misses the mark and nobody's interested in. The memo reads more like a corporate spin than a genuine reflection of failure. No mention of the controversies or deeper issues that are plaguing the company. They talk about how all players want are highly polished games on launch day, when the truth is players are craving meaningful, risk-taking, authentic.
And then him saying launch day. I'm so tired of any of these companies trying to claim launch day and release day are different. They're the same day. Stop selling this 2-day early access. And people that are buying it, why? If you're not a YouTuber, you have no reason to buy it. Like, just buy the game. And they wouldn't do that to you. They wouldn't charge you extra to do that. It's because you keep buying it and, like, thinking, oh, I get to play the game early. No, you get to play the game on time.
I played this the other day. I immediately hated Kves for being such a forking stupid incompetent character whose only redeeming quality is her pet Vix.
Oh yeah, the pet looks cute. It seems cute.
Authentic content. Things that Ubisoft hasn't seen in decades.
Which I think it's, like, you don't know a game really sucks if they can't even make the pet likable.
Even in their own memo to their own employees, they can't speak frankly about their mistakes. This sanitized message...
I love that just because she's standing over this person or near, like, a gun or something, it's going to have inventory full on her screen the whole time.
Shows just how deeply disconnected the company is from the people that it should be listening to, the players.
She's in
Interested
like
in the perspective of the employees who received this memo, I had a few questions on their thoughts of the messaging and the leadership of the company. I asked, what has been the message from management to the staff about Ubisoft's declining sales? What do they believe is the reason behind it? They responded, the fun fact is they don't talk much about it. They mainly focus on the fact that they reached their financial objectives, which are mainly achieved through casual player sales, not the vocal gamer minority that are sick of what you described in your video. Also, something to know is that through the years, the number of management floors has increased to...
And then this is the thing that pissed me off, and this happened to Dad's job. Actually, this is going to blow your mind. Other companies do this. I started noticing it when I almost worked for McDonald's one time, where they had an entire building full of managers. Why would you have a management store? That makes no sense. No, you should not be allowed to add more management roles. Yeah, Dad, the principal of the school that my dad works near, like works a part of, like he's not in that school or anything, but he like works with them. The principal of that school has created they're not vice principals, they're like above vice principals. And you know what? The only reason they're there for is to increase his pay. Because he has in his contract that he is the highest paid person. So he can increase his pay by making a new role in the school that gets paid what his old salary is. So they have to give him a higher raise. He can give himself raises. You see how bombastically stupid that is? You see how that makes no sense? Why would you ever include that? And apparently that principal makes enough money that they could buy the school. If the principal is making enough that he can buy the school, guess what? That don't need to be a thing. We're wondering why, like, all these facilities and stuff are failing and, like, look downtrodden and stuff. It's because we're paying some people way too much goddamn money. Like, way too much. Like, cut their salaries and, like, skip in half, cut 75% of it off, and throw it away. They only need that 25%. And they're still probably making $1 million. No company, no CEO, no manager, you can, yeah. No CEO or manager or any corporation board should be allowed to create more management roles. That should be like rule number 1 in all of their textbooks. You cannot create management roles. We decide their pay. If you create a role, we also decide their pay. Like, whoever like owns the company will decide like how much they get paid or something. But you need a new like position. And then here's another thing. No one should be allowed to add in their contracts, I'm the highest paid person. What kind of archaic line is that? That you're the highest paid person in your contract? That makes sense for maybe like a movie. Because like some stars are way better than other stars and are more known and like draw a bigger crowd. But you're the freaking principal or you're the freaking manager. Grow up. Well, no, they can't add it after. They put it in their contract.
That don't make any sense. If you make enough money to buy the school, then what's the point of the owner you work for?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what you don't realize is all these CEOs that are dumb and don't know what they're doing are probably people that used to be marketing, in marketing. They weren't a developer. And second, all these CEOs and managers are making enough to buy the building. If you're able to make enough money in 1 year to buy the building or more, you don't need that pay. Your pay should not be that high. I'm sorry. 90% of the money you make on a game should go to the employees and to making another game. Well, like 99% of it. Yeah, 1 year. You didn't hear me stutter.
Ridiculous amounts. So communication is often blurry unless they come directly from HQ, and even then...
How CEOs don't understand this, and like the people that created these management positions don't understand that that's what's going to happen. To make that role important, you have to put them in part of the communication line. The less people with the communication line, the better. Why are you adding tons and tons of extra roles that need to be informed?
And it's almost entirely corpo bullshit that isn't useful in the end. I asked another employee to verify the increase in management at the company, fearing that this is likely one of the biggest issues that's facing the company. Seeing that lack of clear and creative vision, they painted a picture of a company that's not only overrun with management, but that's passively aggressive about removing higher paid and talented employees while slotting in.
And here's the thing, companies. I think you've forgotten a very important thing. The reason that person's highly paid is because they've been here a long time. I don't think I like chat or anything. Shut up. Back. The reason they're getting paid that much is because, one, they're good at their job, and two, they've been there a long time. So you passive-aggressively pushing them out to pay someone cheaper, you're shooting your own self in the foot.
Underskilled and unexperienced management at a cheaper rate. They claim that Ubisoft as an employer shows little regard for their developers. What happens in practice is that they essentially push out senior engineers, promoting junior engineers to senior roles after just a few years of experience, oftentimes with experience in just one engine. Meanwhile, experienced developers with far broader skill sets are being overlooked. This constant cycle of turnover with inexperienced leaders leads to noticeable drops in quality, with bugs appearing in their games. The passionate, dedicated developers leave, while those who are just going through the motions stay behind. This doesn't just affect the technical quality of their games, but also impacts the design and creativity. For instance, you'll find designers working on FPS mechanics who have never played an FPS game before.
That's blowing my mind. Why would you have designers working on FPS mechanics who've never played an FPS game? They wouldn't even know what the player was wanting. Or like what the player is looking for.
Or engineers who don't understand how the mechanics they're building are supposed to feel. There's a lack of passion and skill across the board, and the results are obvious. That line about designers working on FPS games and leading FPS projects struck a chord with me. Not long ago, Ubisoft released XDefiant, a military shooter that was meant to compete with the likes of Call of Duty.
Why are the idiots with all the power?
However, since the game's release, they've lost the vast...
I don't even think it's idiots. I think it's just incompetent people. And you know what it was? It was management for them. It's not even really their fault. It's the management before them. The same thing. Well, the thing is, I think they brown-nosed their way into their positions. And that's why they're there. And now that they don't need to brown-nose anybody, they're just kind of trying to pretend they know what they're doing when they don't.
Majority of their player base, with Ubisoft claiming that the game isn't dying despite it reportedly losing 94% of its players on Xbox. Why is XDefiant ran into so many issues? Netcode, hit registration, and general shooter gameplay issues. Common problems that are normally ironed out well before a game ever hits the market, especially a shooter. It's core to the gameplay. If you're playing a live service shooter, all you do is shoot. That's the gameplay. But when the shooting doesn't work, you don't have a game. Ubisoft's leadership is completely disconnected from the reality of game development and player expectations. The problems stem from a bloated management structure.
All this reminds me of is the remember when what was it, Halo Infinite came out and it didn't have a scoreboard? I thought that was the funniest thing I had ever heard. Oh, a shooter doesn't have a scoreboard. You're joking, right?
Structure that's prioritizing reaching financial targets through casual player sales, rather than listening to the core gaming community that's sick of their tired formulas. Even their own developers are frustrated as they watch as talented senior engineers are pushed out of the studios and inexperienced juniors are promoted far too quickly, leading to a noticeable drop in quality. It's no wonder their games are riddled with bugs and lack any real innovation. This company is more focused on appearances rather than creating meaningful, engaging content.
And what's hilarious is their appearances look crap too.
The quality of their games doesn't matter as long as they aren't offending anyone. When you
offend no one, there is no way to offend no one. You will offend someone. It's better to offend the smallest amount than it is to be try to offend no one. Just do a really good game for a certain group of people and just offend a tiny bit. And here's the thing. I don't get where this started coming from. I think it was some of those commercials where you're a part of the choice and stuff. Those commercials that gave shareholders the idea that they make decisions. You're there to give money and get money in return for them doing good. Can you offer ideas? Yes. Can you get mad when they don't use your ideas? No. Can you decide what they do with their game? No. Can you demand they put stuff in their product that they weren't going to put in there before? No. If the game company is doing very badly, can you cause a takeover? Yeah. If you own enough stock, you can do that. And then you can make decisions. But if you are not a majority stakeholder, or you do not have actual...
I think Star Wars Outlaws could have worked if someone other than Ubisoft did it instead. Now because of this we may not see a Star Wars game without Jedi again.
Here's the thing. There's I've heard rumors and I've seen where other people have heard rumors where you're not going to see any Star Wars stuff for a while. They've got one thing coming out, I think, and that's it. And they're going to leave it alone for a while. Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. Kathleen Kennedy should have been fired after the first. I think I agree with a lot of people's assumption that she has some dirt on the higher-ups. That's the only explanation for why she's allowed to keep going. It's going to be bad, Doctor. I don't even include it because it's going to be bad. I already know it's going to be bad because it's Disney. Nothing they've done recently has been good. And you know what will be hilarious? If a Jedi game is the reason that they become bankrupt.
See the issues that plague Assassin's Creed Shadows, the pandering, the generic virtue, the lies, the cover-ups, and the lack of understanding of what they're apparently inspired by. When you see how safe and tame, how boring, buggy, and soulless Star Wars Outlaws is, when you see how their most anticipated shooter in X-Defiant is riddled with the most common issues, bugs, all kinds of different things that normal shooters would never have on day one, that's made by developers and led by developers that haven't even played a one, that's made by developers and led by developers.
He didn't shoot his head, but he clutched his head there.
That haven't even played an FPS game. You see a studio and a publisher that lacks integrity and a spine. Cowards in leadership roles, afraid to loosen their grip on the wheel. Developers afraid to speak out and unable to express any of their creativity. Franchises destined for obscurity. Ubisoft isn't just losing its way, it's already lost. And the only thing left is to watch it burn. You know, it's crazy to speculate about these kind of things, but it's an entirely different beast to find out what you've been believing this entire time is absolutely true. And I want to take the time to thank the developers that reached out to me. It was daring for them to do something like that. Obviously, their identities are being kept secret for very obvious reasons. Most of these folks could lose their job over having these kind of discussions. But you know, keep in mind, what's really sad about this is that there are developers that are working at these studios that want to see things change, that want to fix things, that see these obvious issues, but they're not allowed to do anything about it.
Here's the thing. People need to stop getting bad at the developers. Developers have little to no, like, pusher pool. They should. They absolutely should. But you're assuming they do, and they don't. Get mad at the corporate people. Get mad at the people in management.
That sucks. That's something that all of us can empathize with.
Not even really management, just corporate people, because they're like shoving their weight around where they shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure that anybody that's watching this video right now has likely worked with some level of management that took them in the wrong direction, and led them down the wrong path.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest issue for Ubisoft is that the damage is already done. Their brand is already torched. Their name and their reputation is...
Give you an idea. I will not play EA games that are coming out, and I will not play Ubisoft games that are coming out. If you don't like that, goodbye. Goodbye. Because it's not going to happen.
Is in shambles by now.
I will not support it.
And looking and seeing that they have pushed back Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's for obvious reasons. While they're going to say that it's for fixing issues in the game,
oh my god. Pre-watched! Boka pre-watched it! Boka pre-watched
issues that we saw in the trailers, so that's totally believable. The game likely does need more time in the oven more than anything else, but outside of that, I really think it's just them trying to distance it from all of the bad press. Because there's a lot of people that have been talking about Ubisoft, there's a lot of people that have been talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it doesn't...
I'll never beat the allegations!
...look good. And pushing it all the way to February, I don't think any of that's going to change anything. If anything, seeing how often they like to put their own foot in their mouth when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're just giving me and a bunch of other content creators more time to farm you, more than anything else.
Exactly.
I was talking to one of the developers about the delay, and they're like, one of the things that really confused the whole group of developers is that they're like, well, we need more time to fix bugs and issues, but we're also going to add more quests and side content. They're like, those two things don't have anything to do with one another, and one creates more issues. This doesn't make any sense.
So to give you an idea, if they didn't delay it, there was even less content than you think there was.
And also,
yeah, dude,
you push it to February, the month that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds release.
And those two games! This game is doomed more than it was already. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to blame those games. They're like, well, we didn't foresee this affecting us that much. bull crap. They want those games to overshadow it so much people like me and him don't talk about it.
You're cooked. What are you doing?
They're doing it on purpose. I know it.
What are you doing? I don't know, man. I want to thank everybody. Thank you guys for watching the last video as well. It was my first 1 million view video. That's just a wild achievement, one that I wasn't really sure that I'd ever be able to achieve. And you guys,
he's almost got another one, guys. Look
for that. Again,
go give him a like and watch his video.
Stories like these wouldn't be able to come out.
He's almost to another million.
Stuff like this in the future because I had a great time making this video. This is probably this is my most favorite video that I've ever made. But yeah, outside of that, thank you guys. If you guys have enjoyed the content, make sure that you're sharing these videos. Make sure you like the video. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What are you doing? Come on, man. Just hop on board. If you guys want to catch me live, you can follow me on Twitch.
And like.
I'm live 2 days a week. I'm working on videos.
I watch that
4
next
days a
time.
week. I'm sleeping.
Because I'm curious about it. He might know stuff about it that I don't. But yeah, guys. Alright. Let's pull this. Wait, what kind of... What, Warframe stuff came out? Oh, Dungeon Suit was my first 20k video? I love that stuff. Oh, it's the Comey update? Oh, hell yeah. I'm vetoing all your votes. Unless they're Warframe. Get in here, chat. Get in here. Everybody, get in here. Oh, Waka, does my mic sound better?